Is Ole Gunnar Sesko to the rescue? If you would have told me that before we kicked a ball with Carrick, he was going to get 16 out of 18 points, I would have just shaken your hand. Guys, take a step back. Enjoy it. We won.
The way that he was bombing 70 yards last night to get to that ball, we are seeing a very different Benjamin Sesko. We're seeing him playing with confidence.
Are we all here for the housery of Matheus Cunha right at the end of the game? I absolutely love that.
Honestly, Sani Vander, mate. How good was he last night, and how much of a impactful, brilliant signing has he been for like 18 million as well?
They might have looked to spend big money on a proven number one, an Emi Martinez type character. I think they've got their number one. If he keeps winning games, keeps picking up points with the regularity that he is, and United finish in the top 5, then he's put himself in a really strong position. Only 3 men have ever led United to the league title, and everybody who comes in ultimately is going to be judged by what Sir Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson did. And in what we've seen so far, I think Michael Carrick can carry that weight of expectation.
This show is sponsored by BetMGM. You can download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org, and please gamble responsibly. Hello and welcome to Inside Devils, the show that keeps you bang up to date with every single thing going on outside Old Trafford. And it is Ole Gunnar Sesko to the rescue once again. Manchester United getting a massive 3 points at Hill Dickinson Stadium against Everton last night. And to talk about it, of course, we have to welcome in Angelina Kelly and talkSPORT's chief football remote. What else are we calling him? Remote virtual AI correspondent, Mr. Alex Crook. What's happening, Crookie? Talk to us.
Is this Crook? Is this AI? Do we know?
This is me just looking a little bit red-faced because I've just finished a 5k, so apologies for that.
We'll let you off, Crookie. We'll let you off. Before we get into the show, I'm pleased to say that this video and this show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org, and please gamble responsibly. It was a huge win last night. Crookie, you've been talking about needing to show character, needing to show mentality, togetherness, consistency, etc., etc. We weren't at our best last night. The performance from both teams actually was a lackluster game, really, with not much quality in it. But we found that moment of quality. We defended very, very sternly and kept a clean sheet and got out of there with a 1-0.
Yeah, my wife was so bored she went to bed at half-time, but she's a gooner, so we'll let her off for that. But it wasn't great, was it? Flat. I mean, the atmosphere inside that magnificent stadium was a little bit flat, barring the away fans. I thought Everton came, certainly in the first half, to spoil the game, didn't show a lot of attacking intent. Even when they did in the second, they were reliant on set pieces and just sort of bombarding Senna Lomons, who was absolutely terrific, I thought, on those set pieces. And with a couple of shots as well, they were routine saves, but they were the type of saves that Andre Onana, his predecessor, would have pushed straight back out into a congested penalty area.
100%.
The fact he manages to hold on to the ball, it sounds really simple, but it's made such a big difference. I thought he was great. I thought Lenny Yoro coming in, I was a bit worried about that because of Martinez's injury. I thought him and Maguire had a really good game. And the goal to win it was pure class. You know, the pass from Matheus Cunha, the awareness of Brian and Bumo not to try and go for glory himself, but to tee up Sesko. And that was a finish of a striker high in confidence, someone who's probably going to be knocking on Michael Carrick's door and trying to get a start against Palace at the weekend. But it's a conundrum for Carrick when you've got a player who's doing so well coming off the bench and influencing games. Is it even a risk to start him on Sunday?
Yeah, because he is doing the business from the bench. And we're going to talk about individuals, of course, as the show goes on. But just from a team perspective, you look at the table, you look at what our aspirations are for the rest of the season, of course, making sure we get in Champions League football. That's all we got. Aston Villa dropped points, Chelsea dropped points, Liverpool on our coattails. It was very important to win that game and create some distance and continue the momentum. And now the table's just sort of taking shape in terms of getting a grasp on that top 4.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, you know, for United to be back in the top 4 is great. We've got that 3-point cushion inside the top 4. 3 points behind Villa in third, who've had a lot of injuries. They've had poor form. And I just think it's very exciting. I think overall, I know you and I spoke about this, Lex, that, you know, Gary Neville on TV was very critical at half-time. He was making out like it was, you know, a crime against humanity kind of thing. But I think overall, within the context of the whole game, you know, limited Everton's opportunities to score, hit them on the break. You know, I'll take that away performance, to be completely honest. And I think when you do look at the table, I've looked at the race for the Champions League, the schedules that everybody's got. Liverpool seem to have the easiest run. But you've got Aston Villa, they've got to go to, they've got Chelsea at home, Man United away, they've got Tottenham, Liverpool and City are their last 2 games. You know, we've got Chelsea, we have got Liverpool, we've got Newcastle, we've got Villa at home. Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man City, Man United, tough Liverpool, runs. Tottenham. Everton's is probably the easiest of it, but when you look at that, you start to believe that top 4, of course it's doable because we're in top 4, but when you see that and the way that it's going to play out, I know Aston Villa will be dropping points in those games. I think you can't rule out Chelsea the way that they are Chelsea at the moment.
Chelsea are not
Liverpool, this hasn't been a great Liverpool team that we've seen this season for whichever reasons, but it fills you with confidence. And I think I said this a few games ago, I'm actually looking at the table. I'm looking at the table, I'm looking at the points, you're trying to calculate it. I mean, I've sat and looked at all that. You know, you're actually thinking, oh, well, what happens about this? Whereas before we were just like, are we in the bottom half of the table? How far away are we from those relegation spots? We're all right? Yeah, we're all right. And so to be invested again, to be more invested in the Premier League, the whole thing is just so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. I'm really enjoying it. Carrick, if you would have told me that before we kicked a ball with Carrick, he was going to get 16 out of 18 points, I would have just shaken your hand immediately. I wouldn't have asked you who scored, by how many, the goal times, the goal scorers, what type of performance it was.
3 at the back or not.
3 at the back. I wouldn't have asked what formation. I would have just shaken your hand and got out of there.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing, like you say, a little bit of negativity because, yes, against West Ham, we wasn't good. The spark wasn't there. For large parts last night, we were incohesive. The attacking players, any one of them could have got taken off when Ahmad came off the pitch. That was probably Bruno Fernandes' worst game of the season, actually, by his high standards. But like you said there, Ange, guys, take a step back. Enjoy it. We won. We won. We're building momentum. Right now, I'll take momentum over performance any day. I'll take results over performance any day. And that is what it's coming down to. That game is a simple game of get in there. It doesn't matter how you win, just get the win and win. Look at Liverpool in the last, robbed, almost daylight robbery against Forest. Should never have won that game, but they did. Last minute limbs. You just get your points on the board because, like you said about Chelsea, like you said about Villa, like you said, including Liverpool, there's points to be dropped from them, and whoever can show just a little bit of consistency, forget performances. Whoever can put their head above the parapet and put a run together, which we've done, by the way. We're the most informed team in the country right now, which is incredible. We're unbeaten in the last 10 games. But it's starting to now reflect in the league. Remember when we were getting games where people around us would capitalise, would drop points, and we would never capitalise. We'd be crooky. That's our chance to go into the top 4. Here's our chance to gain points on Chelsea or to gain points on Liverpool, really stake a claim. And we drop off. Now we've got the consistency and the momentum.
That's the biggest difference. Obviously, Chelsea failing to beat Burnley at home, Aston Villa dropping points at home to Leeds. It was a real opportunity for United. And unlike previously, when the door was left slightly ajar and we didn't seem capable or willing to walk through it, we did walk through it last night. All right, maybe we took the long road to walk through it. But 3 clean sheets as well.
Exactly.
In 6 games. And when you think we couldn't keep a clean sheet for love nor money under the previous fella, I think you've just got to keep giving Michael Carrick all the flowers in the world.
What's his name?
Who's the previous fella?
That guy from Portugal.
Right, okay.
Ronaldo. What?
Crookie just won't let go. Let's talk about individuals. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko. 6 goals in his last 7 appearances. And even before this game, a lot of Man United fans were saying he needs to start. He saved us against Fulham off the bench. He saved us against West Ham off the bench. It's about time he gets a start. And when you look at the points he's single-handedly given us, he gets us a point against Burnley, gets us 3 points against Fulham. That's 4 points. Gets us 3 points last night. Yeah. That's 7 points, and gets us a point against West Ham. That's 8 points that he's literally put on the board himself in the last few games. Is it time for him to finally start and be unleashed and give him the reins? Or has Carrick got a point? When your record is as strong as Carrick's is, which I've played 6 games, mate, I've won 5 and drawn 1, and this guy's chomping at the bit. I've got him locked in. I've got him exactly where I want him to change the dynamic, and he's scoring. Is it just a good recipe to have, a good problem to have?
It's a good headache to have, as to not, oh God, do we have to start this guy because he's no good, which we've had in previous seasons, whereas now this guy is good. Should we start him? Should we have him coming off the bench? So I think this is the difficulty of only playing, once a week or once every 2 weeks of late. Is that you don't have those opportunities to kind of experiment, and these games now are must-wins. So I think if it isn't broke, you don't need to fix it. I understand why people would be thinking that, and it seems to be working now. I'm not too sure with this front three, who's fitting where. Is it going to have to be a case of we're going to have to eventually maybe pick from Mbeumo or Ahmad, because they both like that right-hand side? Yeah. Not too sure, but it's nice to have the headache of tweaking things.
What would you do next game? If you were Michael Carrick, what would you be doing?
I think I would keep things exactly the same, because I trust that Michael Carrick knows Benjamin Sesko well enough. He said, we've had conversations, and it's about his confidence and the way that he's playing now, the way that he was bombing 70 yards last night to get to that ball. We are seeing a very different Benjamin Sesko. We're seeing him playing with confidence. He doesn't seem as nervous. His touch is so much better. He looks a lot silkier. So if this is working at the moment, and he seems very happy to be like, listen, I'll just do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah, he said it, whether I'm on the pitch for 10 minutes, 90 minutes.
He's still young. This is his first season, and I think if this is working, him coming off the bench, then that's absolutely fine, because he's still scoring goals. It's not like he's bringing him on for 5 minutes at the end. You know what I mean? So,
it was even earlier last night.
So for me, I trust Michael Carrick, and I understand why people will say, let him start. Listen, this guy's going to be at Man United for a long time. There's going to be plenty of chances for him to start. And at the moment, I'm okay with it personally, because we're winning. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So,
you can do what you want when you win.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Crookie, how do you feel about this? Gary Neville said on his podcast I saw last night, he said Michael Carrick will have to start him against Crystal Palace. It will crush the boys' confidence if you don't. Is there an element of that, because I'm just talking about confidence? Is there an element of,
but you're being trusted to come off the bench and change the game and make things happen, so I don't think it necessarily means your confidence dips, in my opinion. It depends how you look at it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. It depends on the individual. That's what I'm saying. Could it be that actually it does the opposite, Crookie, where it affects his confidence, because he's like, what more have I got to do to start? I'm coming off the bench, I'm directly involved in everything. Give me a go from the start. I'm chomping, I'm ready.
Well, you joked about it right at the top. Ole Gunnar Sesko. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spent the bulk of his Manchester United career as an impact substitute. Obviously, particularly that treble-winning season behind Andy Cole and Dwight York. The same for Teddy Sheringham. I think part of the art of management is knowing when to rotate and knowing when to manage a squad. I think Sesko will start against Crystal Palace. I'm tending to agree with Gary Neville. I think if you look at Ahmad's last couple of performances, actually wasn't great away at West Ham. And obviously last night as well, I think he really struggled before being taken off. So I think it's an easy decision for Michael Carrick to make, to move Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo out wide, and to put Benjamin Sesko through the middle. I'd be surprised if Sesko didn't start on Sunday.
This is what is great about where we are currently at, right? Because under Ruben Amorim, we can say that, Crookie's there. Under Ruben Amorim, when you're not winning football matches, all the scrutiny comes your way. Why is Kobbie Mainoo not playing? Yeah. Why are we playing free at the back? Why is he not starting? Why is he staying on the pitch that long? Why are you going with Ugarte over Kobbie? This is trash. This is this. This is that. Why is Dalot still getting a game? All of this stuff. When you win, when you are winning football matches and you are consistent in performances, the manager, he can do what he wants within reason. I would like him to start for myself. I think he's earned that, for him individually. But you're right. In terms of the team, it's not a hill to die on. It's as long as we're winning football matches. But I do think, though, if I could choose, I would start him. I think he's earned the right to, let's have a look from the start. We can change it up.
Yeah.
You know, also you have to show other players, I think, that, you know, if you're playing really well and really smashing it, I'm going to give you a chance. You're going to earn an opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing so well, which I'm not just going to home in on Ahmad only because he did struggle yesterday and a little bit against West Ham.
Yeah.
But like I said, when he got taken off, if any one of those forward players got taken off at that 56th minute, I wouldn't have argued. If it was Cunha, I wouldn't have argued. If it was Mbumo, if it was Bruno, I really wouldn't have argued. Could have been any of them for Sesko. But I just think that he's built such a bit of momentum now. Crowd will all be up, crowd will all be behind him, big anticipation. Go, let him spread his wings. Start him. And I do think he will start, but I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's
I think
not
it just depends.
It's a great position to be in.
It depends which way you look at it. Like I say, yes, he's technically earned the right to start. I think when you look at the strikers that were signed over the summer in the Premier League, he's been the best. I think Hugo Ekitike, obviously there is an argument there, but he's been a little bit off the boil recently. I think when you look at the options, the amount of times that Arsenal fans are saying, well, I'll swap you, Gyökeres and Sesko. So he has earned the right in some sense, but I think it depends on how he views things, how Michael Carrick views things, the coaches, etc. Because I think there's still something to be said. I don't think it ruins his confidence if he doesn't start, because again, you're still being given a huge responsibility of you're coming on the pitch and you are the person that is going to go and win us this game. You are still important. So it depends which way you look at it. But I agree, Ahmad, didn't look great, and I think it's going to be interesting what happens long term with this front three and how we end up lining up. But whatever happens, as long as we win.
Yeah, last thing on Sesko from us is I would big him up on his mentality, actually, because he's been slowly introduced by Ruben Amorim, held back. I remember Ruben Amorim doing a lot of presses saying Benj wants to do so much, we have to sort of convince him to do a little bit less. You read up on how he looks after himself. He's got VR sets on, he's doing yoga, and he's really invested. His recovery time and what he does to improve himself is really showing that whether he's a sub, whether he's, because he hasn't started in God knows how long, he's proven that he's not egotistical. He's got a good character. Yep. Most of all, he's got good ability.
And he's still young as well.
And he's still very, very young. So it's fantastic. And he's coming through clutch.
And from what I'm told, he's first in at the training. He's last out at training. He's determined to work on his game. And speaking of people close to Michael Carrick, he thinks he's got an absolute star on his hands. Yeah. I don't want to put too much pressure on Benjamin Sesko, but he does really think he's got a bright future. So it's a nice problem to have. Just on that front four, by the way, I mean, you're probably going to come on to it, but are we all here for the housery of Matheus Cunha right at the end of the game? I absolutely love that.
Absolutely. And especially Tarkowski getting wound up by it as well. Because I tell you what, Tarkowski, mate, the absolute housery he had, throwing Lenny Yoro in the net, getting in people's faces, bumping into Brian Mbumo. He's a proper old school centre half, Tarkowski. I give him that. But the way he got wound up by Cunha,
you dish it out, you've got to be able to take it, man.
And do you know what I love about Matheus Cunha, right? He hasn't been playing the best in large parts of games. Yeah. But he finds a moment. Against Fulham, he wasn't great. He wins the penalty / overturned penalty that gets the free kick that make us win. Against Manchester City, comes off the bench, gets an assist. This game gets an assist. I think West Ham not so much. He wasn't very good, and rightly so, came off. But he's got this nasty streak about him. And Crookie, actually, I'm going to bring this back. Do you remember when we was going to sign him? And everyone was talking about, his disciplinary record, Glasses Gate, I don't know, has he really... And I said, listen, nonsense. All that showed me is that he will fight for you. He will be consistent. Yeah. He will be strong and passionate and defend his team and defend his badge. And when I put down those stats about how many red cards he's got in his career, 2. And what we're seeing now is that perfect balance between aggression, control, bravery, and maybe Maverick is a bit too far, but quality. Is that fair to say, Crookie?
Yeah, well, I went as far as comparing it to when Eric Cantona was signed. You did. Everybody said that Fergie couldn't tame him, and look how that worked out. Now, listen, Cunha obviously hasn't hit the levels that King Eric did so far, but he's capable of the spectacular. There are very few players in the Premier League, let alone at United, who can spot that pass for Mbumo. He can score from all kinds of angles. And the other thing that I like about him, and he's had to do this a couple of times, he did it at Anfield, he did it again last night.
Yes.
When the team are under pressure, when they're sitting deep and the opposition are piling on attack after attack, if there's one player in that team you want to pick up the ball, even deep inside his own half, and gobble up the ground, carry it, or win a free kick, it's Matheus Cunha. He is so brave in possession.
He is, and he's, he's not always going to get goals and assists and this, that, and the other, but he had something. Even Ruben was saying, one thing about Matheus and Brian actually is that when the going gets tough for the team, they want the ball, they impact the game.
Exactly, and they've both been brilliant, and I think you look at the signings in general, I think post-Fergie, this has been the best bit of recruitment that we've ever done, and I don't really like to give praise to the powers that be at Manchester United, but I think that overall this has been a brilliant bit of business, bringing in these three players and the goalkeeper, which I'm sure we'll get onto as well. But
good segue, Ange, because we have to talk about when life give you lemons. Yeah. Because this guy, baby Courtois, mate, honestly, Sunny Van der Sar, mate. And you know how fitting it was
that Van der Sar's on TV.
He's on TV, and we've got put on a clinic. Sene, put on a clinic so Uncle Edwin can assess you. And you know what he said? He said, he reminds me of me.
Yeah.
I'm done. That's the only approval I need. He reminds me of me.
Yeah.
Biggest compliment you can have.
Composed,
how good was he last night, and how much of a impactful, brilliant signing has he been for like 18 million as well?
Yeah, he's been brilliant. And Edwin van der Sar talking about how he seems similar to him. It's nice for the United fans to hear, and it must be nice for the defence, because Andre Onana, his behaviour on the pitch, he did seem a little bit chaotic, a little bit erratic, maybe.
Just a bit.
Don't really know if you could always
taking the
trust...
softer route here. Wow. Say what you mean, Ange. Come on.
You feel like you couldn't trust him to handle anything, really. So how nice it must be for the Man United defence to have somebody a little bit calmer, more composed, and he's also like he almost doesn't look like a goalkeeper. I was saying it to you, Flex. He looks like, if I had to give him a job, I'd say he was like a vegan chef or something. Like he doesn't. He's so impressive because you don't always think he's got that in his locker. And I think when he came in with like the hair and everything, and you were just like, what is this guy going to be like? But he's been absolutely brilliant. And again, an excellent bit of recruitment. You're bringing this goalkeeper in from Belgium that has got all these really good stats, but you're like, still, it is a huge step up to the Premier League, and the way that he was commanding his box last night, I mean, it was very, Arsenal-esque in some ways, the way that the Everton players were, swarming the 6-yard box.
Worse.
It was insane. But he was brilliant. The way that he handled it, he didn't have his feathers ruffled. He made some excellent saves overall. And it's just been a breath of fresh air. And I think, we've had so many... we've really, really struggled, especially, David De Gea after David De Gea. It's not gone to plan. Andre Onana, I tried my best to see. I tried to see the good in him, but yeah, it's been brilliant. And he doesn't always, even though he's tall, he doesn't look that imposing physically, but he just surprises me. And I think great for 18 million, 18.1 million, whatever it was. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, he was fantastic, and it's really good to see.
I mean, Crookie and just pretty much summed it up there. I mean, Lamans has been a fantastic signing. Like, is there any more to add of just how good and cool and calm and collected he actually is?
As I say, it's not the spectacular saves that he has to make, although the one that he tipped over the crossbar from distance was a really good bit of agility and acrobacy. It's just that he does the basics. The crosses that come into the area, he takes it with two hands. If a shot comes in, he takes it with two hands. He falls on top of the ball. All the things that Andre Onana doesn't do. And you're just not that nervous wreck whenever a cross comes into the area. And there were lots of them on Monday night. How planned was it? I don't know. I think when they signed him, he was seen as one for the future. I'm not sure that the hierarchy, certainly not the previous manager, planned to put him in as number one. Obviously, Altay started the season, had that horror show against Arsenal. Onana comes in, plays against Grimsby in the League Cup. That's the last we see of him. And it was almost last man standing. And it was sink or swim time, wasn't it, for Senna? And he certainly has swum. He's been brilliant. And he's been compared to Schmeichel because of the impact that he made when he first came into English football. I think that's probably taking it a little bit too far. But it's just nice to have a safe pair of hands. And I think it will change their plans for the summer. I've written about this actually in my notebook on the talkSPORT website. I think Onana is going to come back from Trabzonspor, not to play, but because they don't want to keep him. So I think United are going to have to sell him for a snip of what they paid for him. They will bring in another keeper because Tom Heaton's contract is expiring. Obviously, he's in the veteran stage of his career. But whereas before they might have looked to spend big money on a proven number one, an Emi Martinez type character, I think they've got their number one. So I think anyone who comes in is just going to be backup now for the youngster.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's done absolutely brilliantly. I hold my hands up. I was towards the back end of the summer saying, oh my goodness, Emi Martinez is available.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute calamitous move with Andre Onana. Get me someone competent who doesn't need time to bed in, who the shirt won't be too heavy for. Yes, he makes a few mistakes here or there, Emi Martinez, but he's still a top goalkeeper. If it's between this and this kid I haven't heard of, who's probably played, 1 or 2 senior seasons in his life at Royal Antwerp, etc. No disrespect, get me Martinez. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong. And actually, he didn't come in until we got stuffed at Brentford.
Do you want to apologise? Because I always get forced to apologise.
I'm not like you. I'm not like you. I think I apologised a long time ago, actually. Probably just not on here.
I just don't recall.
I have no problem holding my hands up and saying, I got that wrong. I challenged the scouts to go and find value out there. They've brought back a kid for 18 million who looks head and shoulders above what we had, and long may it continue. I am happy to be wrong.
And I am.
See how easy that is?
And I
am sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, so
I'm I just want us all to be held to the same standards.
I'm showing you how easy it is to do. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I did it twice.
Yeah, through gritted teeth you did it. But long may it continue with Sonny Lemons. I really like what he's doing and how good he's been. He's been absolutely brilliant. Let's move on to talking about Michael Carrick, though, a bit more, because Gary Neville and Edwin van der Sar urged a little bit of caution around appointing Michael Carrick full-time, and I quote, they still think the best in class is what is needed. Gary Neville was saying that. Says, listen, I love Michael, and he's doing really well, and he's a great lad, great coach, etc. But he feels what Manchester United need is a real best-in-class manager. Is that disingenuous to Michael Carrick? Could he be the one who's in the best class to do this job, or does Gary Neville have a point, Ange?
I mean, at the moment, he has been the best in class. He's unbeaten as Man United manager at the moment. So, I mean, listen, I don't think that Michael Carrick's going to be sat listening to that and take great offence or anything.
No,
he seems
he's too
like
calm for that.
Yeah, he's a true professional. It is still too early to say he's got to have the job. I think obviously Thomas Tuchel signing that extension with England. I was out in Brussels for that Nations League when he told us that Cobby and Maguire and Shaw are back in the picture. That was good. But, I think that for me, Thomas Tuchel was the standout name that I think everybody was looking at, and for him to commit his future to England,
it changes
that kind of wrote that off. And then you look at other managers that will be working over the World Cup. I mean, Pochettino, no thank you. Maybe people talk about Julian Nagelsmann, for example. We had a bit of fun on a podcast, Crookie and I, talking about how Jurgen Klopp should want the Man United job. I had a bit of fun.
You did this.
Crookie,
it's something I expect from Crookie, but you.
Crookie turned red.
Even redder than I am now.
So just for context, it was not that Man United should have Jurgen Klopp as their manager.
I had a soundbite of this on my show on Friday.
Jurgen Klopp should want the Man United job.
Why should he want it? Because
it's the best job in the world.
Right.
It's the best job in the world, and if he wants to be on the Mount Rushmore of managers, being at Man United and getting them back to being the best.
What are you saying here then?
I'm not saying I want Jurgen Klopp as Man United manager.
What are you saying?
100%.
You're not saying that.
I'm not.
Are you
saying
sure
that.
you're not saying that?
I'm saying that Jurgen Klopp sat doing his job at the moment. If he wants to be remembered as one of the best managers of all time,
he's done
well. He's done well with Borussia Dortmund. He's done well with Liverpool. But to go to Man United, that's the job everyone wants. I'm obviously having a little bit of fun. For the record,
don't know if you are.
For the record, I do not want Jurgen Klopp as Man United manager. But when you look at the options, there aren't that many. Luis Enrique is the name that stands out for me when we're putting our serious caps on here. Luis Enrique is the name that stands out. Does he want to leave Paris Saint-Germain? I don't even know. But he's somebody who has taken that PSG side that was full of egos and whatnot, brought in younger players, really built a really impressive team. and has led them to the holy grail of getting them that Champions League that they were desperate for. So for me, he's the most proven name out there, but it doesn't mean that he...
Everything's a risk.
Yeah.
Everything's a risk.
So it is difficult, but I think it's far too early to say Michael Carrick 100% should have the job. Technically, on paper, the way things are going...
League candidate?
This is definitely, especially with the Tuchel situation, when you think about it logically, a manager that's been at the World Cup, if it's a good manager, you'd imagine that they'll be there for quite a while, well into July. Then how do you work that out? How are they working out with transfers? Are they in those kinds of conversations? What's going on with pre-season? How are they going to embed themselves into the club so quickly? And the more you look at it, Michael Carrick sometimes, almost like a Real Madrid situation, in that they sometimes will lean on those ex-players, as they are at the moment, as they have done with Zidane. And it does sound a little bit cringe sometimes of, it has to be somebody who gets Man United, etc., etc. But he is kind of proving the point. And we've seen at a club like Real Madrid, for example, it's worked as well, that sometimes having that history with the club, it does work.
It can help. Crookie, how important is it for you? Or how important do you think it is to have this, in quotes, best in class? Does best in class exist in the current managerial landscape? Will it exist more in the summer? Or is it better to go with a safer pair of hands, someone who's doing a good job already, the players are liking to, setting some foundations there, and you recruit around that and see how it goes?
Do you know what? Luckily, that's above my pay grade. I wouldn't want to be making this decision on behalf of the institution that is Manchester United. All I would say, if you look around the Premier League table, Arsenal, I think, are going to win their first title in more than 20 years with Mikel Arteta, someone who had no frontline managerial experience when he came in. You've got Chelsea have gone for Liam Rosenior, a complete novice when it comes to the Premier League. I think's done really well. We didn't know a lot about Arne Slot before he came in and won the title at Liverpool. If you weren't a footballing hipster, you weren't really too aware of his career. Look at Keith Andrews, a much lesser level, obviously, but what he's done at Brentford. So there does seem to be a sea change in the way that clubs are recruiting managers. Tuchel would have been my first choice.
Yeah, same.
I make no bones about that, but he's off the table now that he's committed to England. I've made a vow. I'm not going to promote Michael Carrick for this job full-time until at least 2 weeks before the end of the season, because we've been down this road before, and he shouldn't be judged by the same standards as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he's a far better coach, a manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer ever was. But we don't want to be knee-jerk. It's only 6 games. Yeah. A couple of the performances haven't been that convincing, but we found a way to win against Fulham and again at Everton last night. So let's judge this come the end of the season. But I don't see a standout contender. So what I will go as far as saying is, if he keeps winning games, keeps picking up points with the regularity that he is, and United finish in the top 5, because I think the top 5 will be enough for Champions League football, then he's put himself in a really strong position. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think it is too early to be sort of saying, put the contract down, let's go, Michael, it's yours already after 6 games. I've seen enough. That would be foolish. But I do think they do have a serious decision to make, because we can't be getting to like the end of May when the season's done and then we still don't know, and you need to, they don't need to announce it before that, but they need to know who it is, in my opinion. They need, they can't be getting there and then trying to do interviews throughout the summer when the World Cup's on and trying to make things happen and the players leave not knowing what's going to go on. You want to be really shrewd with this. And I agree. Look, before Carrick had his first game at City, and I do regret saying it now, it's quite short-sighted of me, but it's just, PTSD and, I'm scarred from before. I said, Carrick's going to come in, I'm going to back him. He's helping us as a club legend and somebody who, who knows the club well. He's just going to help us get out of a bad spot. I'm not expecting anything great. He definitely shouldn't get the job full-time, even if he wins 17 games in a row. That's what I actually said, because we're not doing it. We did it with Ole. Yeah, see, you didn't even ask for this one. And that's, what I have seen now is that absolutely he should be a candidate for the job, just like anyone else.
He's earned it.
He's in the audition now. He's in the hot seat now. He's getting a tune out of the players. There are different conversations to have later on. Like, what does it look like when we're playing 45, 50 games a season, managing, many
Hopefully we can stay
many
in
trophies
different
at once.
Competitions.
Yeah, squad rotation. But you know what I think the most important thing is? I think it's recruitment and the structure around said manager, whoever that may be, because even under Ruben Amorim, with how poor it was, we got better this season because of the recruitment. We got better. 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 We got be because we found Senny Lama, because we invested into Sesko, because we bought Premier League proven in Cunha and in Mbeumo, we were 6th when Ruben left. We've gone up 2 places. Now, we have got better and more consistent. I'm not saying that hasn't happened, but even with Ruben's poor tactics, it wasn't really helping certain players. We still improved by proxy just by getting the recruitment spot on. If you get Carrick in this job, you have to be at the front of the queue for Elliot Anderson and not fumble the bag like we did with Rice, like we did with Caicedo, or get a top midfielder. You have to go and get another striker.
And having Champions League football will help.
Champions League will help. And you've got to give Carrick the tools. And then listen, if you give him a 2-year deal and after a year or 18 months, because I don't subscribe to this thing of it can't be a sacking club. That's another thing. Crookie's talking about younger managers that all the teams are going for. That's one bit. And the second bit is that everyone sacks everyone. This notion that like a manager has to be like Pep, where they get to leave on their own accord, or a Klopp, or a Wenger, or of course Sir Alex. Those days are gone. Yeah. This is new age football. Like, yes, you keep sacking the manager until you find the right one. Not after 6 games. I don't mean that. Give him a chance, but after a year, if it's not working, then you change. That's how I see it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And things are different now, and as much as I think especially Man United, we like the nostalgia, we like the familiarity of having a coach and knowing that they're going to be there and feeling comforted by that. It is a little bit different, and we are seeing things change, and clubs are being more ruthless, and people don't have as much time. But I think it will be interesting to see what happens. But for me, Michael Carrick, I think, has proven his worth. I was in the same camp as you to an extent of, we can't do this again. We cannot do this again. From the past. We've learned from the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation.
There's no magic formula 100%. When it comes to Manchester United, and you look at all the different options they've tried since Fergie left. But it goes back further than that. Only 3 men have ever led United to the league title, and everybody who comes in ultimately is going to be judged by what Sir Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson did. So you have to be a unique type of character to take the weight of expectation that comes with being Manchester United manager. And in what we've seen so far, I think Michael Carrick can carry that weight of expectation.
Yeah, I'll just before we carry on, Crookie, I have have is that an Alejandro Garnacho program?
I was literally just thinking the same thing.
I've
what are you playing
that. Oh, goodness me, Crookie. Goodness me. Get that out. Get that.
You know
out,
what? My daughter put that there. I didn't check it closely enough.
Don't blame your kids.
He's probably the cutout. He's probably the cutout in the middle as well. So pull that out as well and get that in the bin. Make sure you do that. Crookie, Ash, I want to ask you: Are we overachieving now with what we're doing, or are we at par? We've got a decent squad. We've got 1 game a week, and this is what we should be doing.
I think we underachieved with the previous fella. That's all I can say. And I do think, I don't want to keep bringing it up, but if we still had Michael Carrick's predecessor in charge, would we have won that game last night? I don't think so.
No,
would we have got a point at West Ham? Yeah, no. I don't think so. Would we have beaten Fulham in the last minute, having thrown away the lead? I don't think so. Would we have gone to Arsenal and won? I don't see it. So you look at where we are and where Tottenham are, and there is a direct correlation because those two were pretty much as bad as each other in that Europa League final last season. We were heading one way before, and now we're heading in the complete opposite direction. And the other thing I would say is, if you compare the United team man for man to the Aston Villa team, there's not much in it, No, and Villa were being talked about as title contenders while we were floundering under the previous manager.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're where we should be, considering what's happened to us.
You notice I mentioned him 3 times there without actually saying his name.
Yes, well done. Yes,
this
amazing
work. This has been a bit of a common theme from yourself.
This is the kind of journalism that we want from you, Crook. Yeah, this is fantastic work. Yeah. Chief football correspondent will not say Ruben Amorim. And you know what? If this is the route that you're going to go down. I even tried to get Sam Matterface on their show on Sunday to try and convince, but he saw the message.
He saw the message.
Me and Sam were trying to figure out how can we get him to say it, and he saw the message. Listen, so now he's too wise to it.
He'll get caught up in euphoria when we keep winning games, and you'll catch him. You catch him out.
Give him a beer as well, and we might be able to get it.
And with Carrick, there is a question mark over what it looks like performance-wise when teams let us have the ball. We've seen that against West Ham. We saw it for 95% of the game last night against Everton, albeit we found a way to score goals in both. If Carrick can sort that, is that another positive as to, that the job should be his? And do you think he can? Do you think that, he just needs time? This team isn't drilled. This team, we're talking about the amount of central midfielders it needs, another left winger, another fullback, etc., another centre half. It still needs a lot. So given that time and that injection of quality, do you think Michael Carrick can solve that? Because that's been a problem for us from Ole, from Eric Ten Hag, and teams in a low block sitting back against Man United, cash money.
Yeah, it's been a long it's been an issue that's been going on for a very long time, and I think this again is where recruitment comes into it. In that you look at the players that we've got, we need to be more solid in midfield. I think that's one of the issues. I mean, you look at Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo doing, like they were doing like the full 90, weren't they? Like there's no backups. that Casemiro is going to be leaving. That is the area that we really do need to work on. But I think if you give Michael Carrick time, he seems to be even little things of like getting the clean sheet, which is important, getting the best out of certain players, getting Benjamin Sesko, firing on all cylinders, feeling more confident. Kobbie Mainoo, who's had a difficult season, to just be kind of slotted back in. There were a couple of games where it took a minute for him to find his feet, but now he's playing like he has always played all season. So the fact that he's able to get these kind of golden nuggets from different players. And so why can't he fix that issue if he's given time? But I think the recruitment is where it's going to come in. I think that the coaches that he's got, I know I made a bit of fun of Johnny Evans being in there, apparently set piece king.
Doing well, mate.
But I think the backroom staff that he's got as well, I think that they could solve the problem, but a big part of it is going to be the recruitment.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about recruitment. That is, all the other teams that are doing well, yes, that you need a good manager, etc. They need to show, that they can cope with the demands of being elite level, but none of them do it without top recruitment. None of them. Not Arsenal, not Liverpool, not City. It's all about who you go out and buy and the quality that you bring into the football club. So, yeah, long may it continue, us winning games in that fashion. Speaking about games, next game, Crystal Palace at home, Crookie.
Will Oliver Glasner be in charge?
Will he even be there? In fact, on that, from an update point of view, he's trying his hardest to get Steve Parish to sack him, isn't he, Crookie? But it's almost like they're saying, no, fella, no. You're in it for the long run. We're going to make you stay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's for the greater good of Crystal Palace, from what I hear.
It's getting toxic, isn't it?
Yeah, players inside that dressing room, I think, have made their feelings pretty clear to the board. So I think it's a question of how long Glasner survives rather than if we'll see it through until the end of the season. I'd be surprised if he's still there come the end of the season, because he's attacked the hierarchy, he's attacked his own players, he's attacked the supporters who made their feelings clear at the weekend. So
he's burnt every bridge, hasn't he? And to get a job in the future, who's going to want to bring him in?
People still will. But yeah,
but it's a great point.
A top tier job though. He was being linked to Man United at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's not doing himself any favours, is he?
No, he wasn't. And I do agree with Ange. I think if he was in the reckoning for United, I'm not sure he ever was, by the way, because he's still wedded to the system that failed under the last manager. So I never really saw it. I certainly don't see it now. As Sam Matterface said on our show on Sunday, there's no room for any more under that bus, because he's chucked everybody under it. So I'm quite bullish about this game. Obviously, they've got a big Conference League second leg playoff tie on Thursday night. You'd expect them to win, but then you'd have expected them to beat Larnaca and Coops, and you'd have expected them to come out on top in the away leg. I'm not sure these players are playing for their manager, so I think this is a great time to play a Crystal Palace side who've caused us some issues in recent seasons.
Yeah, they have. I think they won last time out at Old Trafford. Of course, we did get the win earlier in the season. I don't know how we did it, but we did. 2 Mason Mount goals. Was it 2 Mason? No, sorry, Xerxes goal when he scored from that impossible angle, and then the Mason Mount free kick. But and how important is this? I mean, this is an opportunity to again keep that momentum going. Chelsea go to the Emirates, which I know you shouldn't count your chickens and all of that, as the saying goes, but I'm not having them down at winning the Arsenal, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a chance to increase the gap.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like Crook was saying, Crystal Palace seem to be in absolute chaos. You think about what happened in the transfer window. Obviously, you're losing your captain. The way that the manager's been speaking, sometimes in those situations when things are so dire, sometimes you get, like the players come together and they have this moment. I just can't see that happening. I think there is too much toxicity. And I think, like Crookie said, it's the perfect time to play them. I think that I think there'll be goals in this game. I think that we should be working on trying to get a clean sheet again and trying to keep up with that consistency. But I just think overall it is a good time to play them. I think that we should be approaching this game of, obviously, we need to be cool, calm and collected. We need to go into this, we need to get the 3 points. But I'm hoping if we can try and kill this game off early, just have a bit of fun with it almost, because they're there for the taking from my perspective.
Yeah, they're a team that's going through a lot. It's
not nice to see, obviously.
No, of course not. Crystal Palace fans have been on cloud nine.
It's such a drop off and such a shame.
It's incredible, and how quickly it's happened, and how dramatic it's happened, and how public it's happened. It just shows you how quickly football can change. If you had said this would be happening when they were lifting the Community Shield after winning the FA Cup, you would have been like, not a chance. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm looking forward to this game. I think the confidence oozing through everybody. I still do think it'll be a difficult game though, because you are still talking about Mateta, you are still talking about Sarr and Wharton doing well, and Munoz bombing on, and Evan Gasson got his first goal for the club. I think he did on the win against Wolves. So look, what I'm saying is we can't just rock up thinking they've got loads of stuff going on, it'll be an easy game, because it won't. But I'm with you.
Dean Henderson, he'll be wanting.
Dean Henderson derby.
He'll be wanting
what
a
he's
moment
like.
against
got
us.
His cap on. He's giving it. Celebrating with the away fans, and he's probably glad he's not at the club, so Michael Carrick couldn't see how good he was.
Yeah,
like he said for Eric Ten Hag when he came in. So but no, I like Dino. He's all right. He's all right. But I'm gonna go over Man United win. What's your prediction for the game?
I'm going to go 2-0 win.
2-0? Yeah, clean sheet, 2-0. Yeah. Crookie, what you got?
I'm going to trump that. This is probably the biggest
it's gonna go
predicted victory I've made all season. I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0?
I'm going to go 3.
Really?
Yep. I think it could be a Palace implosion. I hope so anyway.
This is good. This is going to be the final now, you're saying, yeah?
I think so. As I say, I expect them to get through on Thursday night, although maybe not as comfortably as they should. And then they'll continue with Oliver Glasner until Manchester United. And then I think if they produce a stinker, I think he'll be gone.
What we don't want is they don't do too well on Thursday night and then get a new manager bounce on for the Sunday. Pressure off, and they just got a little lease of life. Right now it's time for our bet builder with BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or head over to betmgm.co.uk. And what have you got for us, Crystal Palace at home?
So for me, I've been looking at this game, and like my prediction of 2-0, I think that Man United are going to win 2-0. So that is the first part of this. Next up, I think that Man United are going to be leading half-time and full-time. So I'm thinking first half of the game, get a goal. I don't think there will be any nerves against Crystal Palace. Maybe settle a few nerves, and then second half, continue that, maybe get another goal. And like I say, I'm desperate for this clean sheet as well. And finally, I know that Man United didn't get that many corners against Everton, but we've been working on these set pieces. Johnny Evans has been at the wheel, and I think that we are going to manage to get ourselves a few corners in this game against Crystal Palace. So I'm going to go over 5.5 corners from Manchester United. So that is what I'm going with. Man United to win 2-0, Man United to be winning half-time, full-time, and over 5.5 corners from United.
I tell you what, I could get used to this. We've got Ange going full on positivity, winning at half-time, winning at full-time, corners galore. You've got Crookie, clean sheet, 3 goals. I'm saying we're going to win. This doesn't feel like the same show anymore, Crookie. What is this?
I just hope the numbers maintain when we're being optimistic, because everybody likes a bit of bad news and a bit of pessimism, don't they?
I know. I mean, our good friend Ryan, he's probably out there somewhere saying, I told them it would be all right at some point. I wonder what he's doing. He's probably on a park bench having a picnic, just chilling, thinking of the good times.
I hope they're staying calm. They'll be staying calm.
He's probably watching saying, I taught them well. Yeah. I taught them well. I knew they would. And listen, long may it continue. You know what? Just being able to go on social media or talk to my friends or be in WhatsApp groups or do shows like this in the media, like you said, Ange, of just enjoying it, being invested,
Yeah.
having a bit of chest to the rival fans. Like when I finish this, I'm going to be going talking to my good friend Dan Bardell.
Oh.
And I'm saying, you know, he's always got the most to say. Here, man,
Yeah.
Gabby. Oh, United, Norwich
Gabby's
scarves are
worried
out.
though now.
Oh, I've seen him in the corridor, mate. He goes, I hate it when you lot. I said, we are coming. Jaws theme music. The Sharks are coming. PSR out. Unai Emery under pressure. Who you going to blame now? You know, you got to worry about Europa League. I said, we're coming for that third spot. So long may it continue. Right, that's all we've got time for this week on Inside Devils. A big thanks to Angelina Kelly and, of course, Alex Crook. Even though he's mobile, he's remote, he's AI. Maybe
And
we'll
he's
see him in
blaming his
person.
kids for whatever the programme is under the telly. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll see him again soon in person, I'm sure. That is all we have.